Joe, like that intro? I don't know if I like the intro. Let me tell you why I don't think I like the intro. It reminds me about going to church. Like, you got someone at the front there playing on the accordion and just not my thing, but we're trying out new intros. We're trying out new things all the time. Anyway, we're back here. I've got the ring rust off. We got a lot to go over tonight. Um, it's kind of baffling because I remember when the 4th of July used to be this big thing, and it still is, I think, in a lot of areas. But there are some people that just, well, American patriotism just triggers them. So I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about this nonsense going on between Trump supporters, DeSantis supporters, um, and a popular YouTuber who's been talking some mad trash. And I want to put some context and correction to this here. Because I mean, I think, if you want to find the negative in somebody, that's pretty damn easy to do. So I want to break that down there. If you guys checked out the title of this episode, it's interesting. We have a Wisconsin state senator that used a profanity that I am very fond of myself, when she was talking about the suburb area, essentially saying, F the suburbs. They don't know squat about the city. Well, she's kind of right, but she's mostly wrong. And I want to break that down here. But let's jump into this first. First thing first, excuse me. Good God. Anyway, I want to go into this topic first because it just happened to be an article I came across, and I thought it was like a meme or something, but no, it's true. Somebody has an opinion piece about this, and yeah, it cracked me up. So last night, for the first time in quite some time, I ended up posting an update on my carnivore journey, my health journey, my weight loss journey. And, whenever I put those updates, they always get well received. And I'm very thankful for that. Very thankful. But I, I let me rein it back a little bit. One of the most important things I think anybody can do on a journey of self-improvement, on a journey of weight loss, on a journey of just trying to be better than who they were the day before, you are also part of what you consume. So, like, if you're eating garbage food, don't be surprised you have a garbage body. Um, you know what? And I should put this up here. Let me see if I can. The picture I put up here was before and after. And the second picture was taken last night, and the first picture was taken September 11th, 2022. Here, I'm gonna put it up right now. Here we go. Here's the picture. So again, if you take a look at the picture on the left, that is me, September 11th, 2022, weighing in at 317 pounds. That picture to the right, that was taken last night, right around, I don't know, 8:30 last night. That is me weighing in at 224 pounds. Now, why am I showing this? What's the purpose of this? I'm not trying to promote the carnivore diet, which I'm glad to talk about with anybody. But and the onset of that, one of the first things I had to start doing was changing my mindset, changing how I looked at food, my habits, things that were making me this guy or this guy right here, that guy right there. So what was that guy doing? He was consuming garbage, processed food, chips, pretzels, all that other stuff. This guy over here doesn't do any of that. This guy over here has been, either limited or elimination of complete carbs, everything else. Now, why do I say this here? Because when you're consuming, whether it be food, ideas, content, any of that type of thing, that is what's going to shape your mindset. That is what's going to motivate you. Now, motivation, a lot of people think motivation is the end all be all. It is not. Motivation at its core is the spark that you get the fire going when you got the kindle going and you're trying to get that first spark, so you get that first flame. That's what motivation is. The problem with that is if you're just relying on that spark by itself without blowing in it, without, getting a spark somewhere else to make sure that you are going to get a fire, well, you only get that through discipline. You got to put more kindle in there. You got to blow on the sparks, on the little flame here, to get it in to be a fire that you can cook with. Discipline is key. Motivation will help you with your habits. Your habits will start seeing results. Those results and the habits produce discipline because you now want more of it. Why do I bring this up? Well, it may sound like a bit of a reach, but apparently there's people on the left that actually believe that physical fitness is now a far right idea. Now, I don't know if you guys go through any of those YouTube, TikTok, Facebook shorts or anything like that. I like watching them. I get stuck in a scroll hole like anybody else. And some of them are hilarious because you got these fat POSs. I mean, and they are just ginormous. And they're saying that, things like men aren't supposed to be dominant. It's this one little feminine dude with like long nails. They're supposed to be submissive. Other people are saying that if you're working out to look better, then that's fat phobia. Okay. Again, like with any phobia, let's examine that. I'm not afraid of somebody, as somebody who was fat. I don't think anybody's afraid of fat people other than you might eat they might eat your dinner. Okay. But apparently now it is fascist fitness. That's what they're referring to this as. It's really kind of crazy because if you go back, right, to 2020, when the whole COVID pandemic broke out, one of the things that a lot of people were saying was that, well, if you are morbidly obese, you have a higher propensity to get COVID and to have more negative effects. Well, damn, that should have been your incentive right there. Well, my phone just keep blowing up here. That should have been your incentive right there to get into the gym or to at least get a home gym or to start walking around, get moving, change your diet, learn something, become better so that way. And here's the fun part. Whether you're talking COVID, whether you're talking a surgery, whether you're talking any kind of illness, if you're going to recover from said illness, right, you have a better chance at recovery, faster, quicker, better if you're in shape. If you're lethargic, and when I say lethargic, like you have this extremely lazy, sedentary lifestyle, and all you do is sit around and eat Oreos and Ho-Hos and Frito-Lay, and that's all you do. You don't get any exercise other than going from point A to point B, from chair to car to the office, reverse it, sit down, have nothing but garbage for dinner. Well, the results are going to be what they're going to be. And you will have a harder time recovering from any kind of illness, a surgery, anything else like that. And I'm telling you this as somebody who's been on both sides of the fence, as somebody who has walked both sides of this issue. And I'll tell you, ever since, starting on my health journey, I feel tons better. You know, I am mobile. I can walk without pain. I can traverse stairs with no issue. My knees don't hurt like they used to. My back doesn't hurt like it used to. I feel increased endurance and increases in my physical strength. And yes, I've lost mass, but the strength that I have currently far surpasses anything I've had in almost 30 years. Why would you not want that for yourself? What's so fascist about it? Well, as you guys know, and as I often like to do, let us share a story here. Let's pull this bad boy up because this is just comical. You can't make this trash up. Let's make sure that it's popping up right here. There we go. And there I am. Looking beautiful on me there on the right, on your right lower right. I don't know. I think it might be mirrored. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So apparently, and this is an opinion piece on MSNBC, physical fitness trends have gone extreme, they say, literally. Yeah. Okay. White supremacist latest scheme to valorize violence and hypermasculinity has gone digital. And they're making a reference here to, if you look at a lot of the fitness pros and everything else, you got the David Goggins, the Joe Rogans, all your fitness influencers that are on YouTube, TikTok, Rumble. I mean, they're all out there. And it's interesting because a lot of these people, even individuals like, Patrick Bet David, and there's several, like the other Bedros, I can't remember his last name. But basically, these are bigger guys, but they also speak on a more conservative viewpoint on things. They may not necessarily identify themselves as Republicans, but they are big on physical fitness, personal accountability, the idea that, you know what, you shouldn't accept being lazy. Well, in this opinion piece here by Cynthia Miller Idris, Here's what she has to say. It appears the far right has taken advantage of pandemic at-home fitness trends to expand its decade-plus radicalization of physical, mixed martial arts, and combat sport spaces, because those are traditionally right of center, I suppose. All right. Earlier this month, researchers reported that a network of online fascist fitness chat groups on the encrypted platform Telegram are recruiting and radicalizing young men who are neo-Nazi and white supremacists with neo-Nazi white supremacist ideology. Initially lured with health tips and strategies for positive physical change, new recruits are later involved to closed chat groups where far-right content is shared. Let's just stop for a second here. I want to review this here. So this is where I think things, when I look at what the left often will do, they will project the nonsense that they're doing themselves. And in this case here, they're saying, okay, oh my God, they're luring these kids in here with these, positive, change, fitness tips, be more accountable, be a man, a la Jordan B. Peterson type of thing. And then they lure you in here to get you into this far right neo-Nazi ideology. What about, and YouTube might ban me for this, but this is facts, all the nonsense going on at schools with the whole groomers going on over there with the transgender story hour, or the fact that they want to have all these pride events and have it all ages, normalizing that. Oh no, it's just love. And then you start explaining things a bit more, and then all of a sudden you draw them in. Seems to be that that's exactly what they're doing. They're projecting, except doing it in a different way. So let's continue here. Physical fitness has always been central to the far right. In Mein Kampf, Hitler fixated on boxing and jiu-jitsu, believing they could help him create an army of millions whose aggressive spirit and impeccably trained bodies, combined with a fanatical love of the fatherland, would do more for the German nation than any mediocre tactical weapons training. This here is just intellectually dishonest. And it is to say that if you're focusing on what Hitler wrote in Mein Kampf, he's not wrong about that. But what military historically has not had training? What military historically has not wanted their troops to be in the best physical shape possible so that they can win battles? And because let's face it, you're not winning anything if you got a platoon of, like, I don't know, 350-pound, dad bod dudes running around. That just doesn't work that way. Physical fitness is key for mental discipline. Mental discipline is key for victory in any military outfit. That is historically proven. This author makes it seem as if this is somehow new. And I mean, new as in the last, 80 years? Nonsense. Let's see here. Hey, what's going on? We got chat people in chat. We'll get to you guys here in a minute, but let's continue here. Okay. In more modern times, far-right groups have launched mixed martial arts and boxing gyms in Ukraine, Canada, and France, amongst other places, focusing on training far-right nationalists in violent hand-to-hand combat and street fighting techniques. Let me just stop there. Why don't you focus here on America? Why don't you focus here on the United States? Because if you were going to be honest about that, right, then why don't you talk about the violence training, the sabotage training, the guerrilla tactics training that the far left, in particular Antifa and members of BLM, have been utilizing over the past several years? But you won't do that. We continue. It's caught the attention of intelligence authorities, especially in Europe, where various reports have noted the role of combat sports and MMA in radicalizing and promoting far-right violence. A series of collaborative efforts between governments, national sports associations, and local gyms in places such as Germany, Poland, and the UK have introduced intervention and prevention programs. The US is comparatively far behind, which will only become more and more problematic, especially since the phenomenon is growing in the country, building on an established fight culture of MMA far-right extremists. The leader of a Maryland skinhead group, for example, once ran a gym to recruit and train white supremacists in mixed martial arts. If they're white supremacists, would they want to use any type of martial arts? I mean, Would they use Brazilian jiu-jitsu? No, because that's, bunch of Hispanics, right? No, no, no. No, can't use any of the other martial arts because most of that is like out of the Pacific Rim. No, can't do that. Oh, what did they use? What did the Zulu tribe use? They had a form of no, can't use that. No, no, came from black people. No. What are you left with? What are you left with? Anyway, four members or associates of the Racist Violent Rise Above movement, the self-described premier MMA club of the alt-right, pled guilty to conspiracy to riot after the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. An online propagandist for the now defunct group was spotted amongst protesters on January 6th last year when members of white supremacist group Patriot Front marched in Washington, D.C. in December of 21. They were accompanied by a new media outlet created by Rand's founder, Robert Rundo, who is working to create a network of far-right MMA active clubs in the U.S. and abroad. Let's examine that. Let's examine that here. Patriot Front. Now, I don't know if you guys have done any research into this and taken a look at some of the videos that are out there. It's interesting. And a lot of their thing, what you see out there is just them marching, and they're all like, it's like they're like in white clad instead of black clad, like Antifa does. But what fascinates me is that they got all these videos, all these guys marching around, all these flags. But where are they? I mean, seriously, where are they? Let's take a look here. This article was written March 22. Yeah, March 22, this article was written. Okay. And prior to me saying this, how many of you actually heard of Patriot Front? I'm willing to bet almost nobody has heard of Patriot Front. I'd put a lot of money on that one. Nope, don't buy it. You never see these groups out there. That's facts. So anyway, let's continue here. The intersection of extremism and fitness leans into a shared obsession with the male body, training, masculinity, testosterone, strength, and competition. You mean the thing that men have done since, well, there have been men? Physical fitness training, especially in combat sports, appeals to the far right for many reasons. Fighters are trained to accept a significant physical pain, to be warriors, and to embrace messaging around solidarity, heroism, and brotherhood. It's championed as a tool to help fight the coming race war. Oh boy. And the street battles that will precede it. Recruits are encouraged to link individual moral virtues such as willpower, decisiveness, and courage with desired collective traits such as fertility and manliness. This also works in reverse, with white supremacists encouraging potential recruits or activists to stay in good physical shape as a way of managing self-presentation in public. Okay, so they're saying that this is a neo-Nazi trait. This is a far-right fascist trait, that you want to be in better physical shape so that way you can represent yourself and look presentable in public. Whereas the far left just look like 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. The neo-Nazi blogger Andrew Anglin advised his followers that fat people should be required to commit to losing weight if they are to stay involved with groups or in-person gatherings, noting that continued obesity should not be tolerated. Well, I guess if you want to have a weak, feminine man who's incapable of taking care of his own, and by when I say his own, I'm talking about his family, those that are closest to him, things that matter the most, then okay, tolerate obesity. And again, I'm talking about as somebody who was extremely morbidly obese, but I'm not now. Why? Because they took personal accountability. This is not a fascist philosophy. This is not this idea that, you know what, in order to do this, you must be a white supremacist. But this article would lend you to believe that. With recruitment now moving from physical gyms to chat rooms, are there any chat rooms anymore? Like, seriously. Like, I've looked, I don't see them. live stream fights, tournaments, festivals, and even combat sports video games. We're seeing extremist fighting culture being combined with an entertainment culture that already valorizes violence and hypermasculinity. Fitness, of course, is a staple and a hobby for many people, for whom it is enjoyable and rewarding for brain health and overall well being. Fitness channel dopamine, adrenaline, and serotonin in ways that literally feel good, intertwining those feelings with hateful and dehumanizing ideas while prompting the concept that physical warriors are needed to create the strength and dominance to defend one's people from a perceived enemy makes for a dangerous and powerful cocktail of radicalization. Boy, she could not have described Antifa any better. Oh, wait, she wasn't talking about, okay, yeah. But she did describe Antifa. For those of us who are working to find better pathways to reach at risk youth, understanding the ways that the far right groups recruit and socialize youth in ways that go well beyond rhetoric and ideas is crucial. It's critical that leaders, including parents, physical trainers, gym owners, coaches, and others in the fitness world, understand how online grooming and recruitment can intersect with spaces that we generally think of promoting health and well being. Online fitness now provides a new and ever expanding market for reaching and radicalizing young men. It requires our targeted focus and resources to try to stop the cycle. Really, all you got to do is take out the words, right? Far right, neo Nazi in this article, and you replace it with words like Antifa, BLM, far right, far left lunatic. And this article literally reads like it's the condemnation of the true violent groups, the true groups in American politics today that are legitimately radicalizing people out there. That is not to say that there aren't people on the right trying to radicalize people online. I'm sure there are. However, the point I'm making here is groups on the right, and especially white nationalists, they're not very good at their jobs in terms of recruiting people. As a matter of fact, they're probably one of the worst organizers out there, because when you look at white nationalists as a whole, right? How many of them are actually out there? How many have you actually met? I'd love to know the number. I mean, hell, I see hundreds of people on a daily basis. I've yet to run into one. No. You can take that back. I ran into a couple, I want to say about 8 years ago. Definitely some of the worst people I've ever met, but I get it. What on God's earth is this? All right, brother. Fascist fitness. Yes, let's go in the chat room here. I gotta drop somebody out of here though. There we go. Let's get that out of there. So let's go in the chat room here. And as you guys see, we got the live call-in number here, 920-3769-9400. That's that number on the scroll bar down there. Call in if you want to be a part of the show, or if you want to join in the live conversation right here, be a guest. All I need you to do is send me a DM. Send me that DM, and I will, without a doubt, send you the link, and I'll get you on here. So let's see what we got here. I'll get into that here in a minute, but yeah, in the chat, let's see what we got. We got the meme lord himself, Joe Lozano, the Repo Man's in the house. What's going on, brother? Good to see you here. Got Christine here. What's going on? Oh, no, we don't want that. Let's see here. I thought I had the wrong link here for a minute. Good evening. Hope all's well in your area with the pallet fire and all. Yeah, we had so I live about 30 minutes west of Oshkosh. And if you go another 30 minutes further west, you're going to go through a couple different towns, and you'll hit toward the end of the county that I live in, Washera County. And in a little town called Coloma, there's a lot of Amish in the area. And apparently there was a pallet fire that was started. Now, they were just trying to burn these pallets. And it ended up burning something like, and the fire got out of control ridiculously fast. It ended up being like 830 acres of land out there that got just demolished within the last 24 hours. About 20 structures, 3 homes, just all burned to a crisp. But yeah, apparently they got the fires under control there for the most part. Last report I saw was 99% was under control. So, I mean, there's still some possibility of danger, but it looks like all the surrounding towns and everything were able to contribute and help. And so, yes, people are safe. So that's a good thing. I know there was some injuries amongst the firefighters. So definitely pray for those guys for sure. All right, let's see what we got here. Stephanie Suchek, what's going on? Good to see you. Let's see. She also mentioned here it's because cows cause global warming, and they don't want farmers to raise their own cows for the purpose of eating. So we have to get eat meat. Yeah, fascist fitness. Can you believe that? Not only is it considered fascist to be healthy, but like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of people that are online, and these are, they're definitely left of center people, and these are the people that, they're like, nobody wants to see those muscles. Nobody cares to see you flex. Nobody wants to see any of that. And it's like, no, dude, people want to see you flex. People want to see you at your best. I mean, you're gonna have haters, of course, but that haters are what should motivate you, drive you. But I just think it's funny because it's I don't think it's that these people can't do these things, it's they don't want to put in the effort in the work. And well, I guess that's why you're gonna end up being like a 45-year-old virgin for the rest of your life, but whatever. Let's see here. She also mentioned the live stream is being interrupted a bit, might be on my end. So far, so good on this end here. Yeah, Joe, I think I am gonna have to I gotta find a way of how do I make people a chat moderator. Once I figure that out, I'm gonna hook you up, Joe. I'll definitely have you on there. Stephanie mentioned, how about we encourage people not to die from heart attacks and strokes and diseases that are caused by unhealthy living? That's a great point right there. And this goes back to COVID too. One of the things that I often think back on is, as we talked about earlier, when you're unhealthy, when you're morbidly obese, when you have a number of comorbidities, when an individual got COVID, that usually made things really bad for them. And sometimes they weren't even able to get out of that. So the question I always asked, especially during year one, why didn't they I mean, if you're going to be handing out money like it's going on a style, just printing money, why didn't you just give gym memberships to everybody? I mean, literally, that's all you had to do. Gym memberships for everybody. I don't know, get somebody a Nordic track, uh, something that would encourage physical fitness, physical health, just to become healthier. Nobody says that you have to go running around looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger or, Brigitte Nielsen from back in the day. You don't have to do all that, but be more active, be proactive in your own health, be an active participant in your longevity. That is something that really should have been pushed, but wasn't. The left doesn't want anyone to feel bad about their life. No, and I think you're absolutely right about that. You have to accept them just as they are, as terrible as they are, or as Stephanie says, as mediocre as they are. This goes hand in hand too with the idea, the concept, the war on masculinity. The idea that, if you're aggressive, if you're competitive, if you're focusing on your well-being, then somehow that is toxic masculinity. If you want to know how to fight, if you take a hit, can give a hit, those type of things. And I find it fascinating. Jordan Peterson talks about this at great length. The individuals that say, I've never been in a fight. And it's like, well, is that something to be celebrated? I mean, how do you know number one, how do you know yourself if you've never been in a fight? Number two, how do you know, right? How do you know that you can fight to protect your own? And now, I'm not somebody who's advocating violence, but if you're pushed into a corner where it's either this person or you and your family, and you damn sure better know how to take care of your own. And that means, having the stamina to be able to, for most people, if you can't fight more than 20, 30 seconds, you're done. Like, it's not like the movies where you're sitting around and you're boxing for the next 5 minutes. No. Fights happen quick, and they're usually over in 20 to 30 seconds. And chances are you're winded too. Most people don't know how to act under pressure. Most people don't know how to defend themselves. Most people don't know how to do it without hurting someone severely. The individual that says that no, I've never been in a fight and fighting's bad. Okay. It's not that you avoided fights, it's that you literally can't. And that's not a good thing. That's not a virtuous thing. The virtuous thing is having these abilities, being in physical shape, being able to take care of your own, being here for your family and everything else that goes along with that, right? Let me check something here. And all that, but also knowing when to perform, when to act, when to rein it back in. Let's see here. Joe mentioned, how do I become a moderator on Facebook? Turn on badges, notifications, and group. All right. I'm going to have to look into that. I am definitely going to have to look into that. So, all right. That was story number 1. What do we have for story number 2? Well, we got a lot of stories here on deck. Let's find this one here. This one entertained me because, well, let's just start off with this here. I really hope you guys had an awesome and outstanding 4th of July week. We didn't do a show last week, obviously, because of the 4th of July falling on a Tuesday. It was a good time. And when we come back here, I just want to take a quick 30-second break. I want to go into this next story here. And this story here, apparently there's a professor out of Marquette University. And, well, they get all worked up when they see the American flag. Can you believe that? I mean, who gets worked up over stuff like that? Well, we'll find out here. Give me 30 seconds. You know, every single year, I don't know what it is. Something about living up north. Every single year, there's like this one fly. I don't have all these crazy bugs or anything up here, but living up north, you got to deal with those type of things. But I got this one fly in my basement every single year, and I swear to God, it is the same fly. It is a bionic fly. It will not die. I have tried everything from a fly swatter to fly tape, whatever, and it just will not die. It was like just flying around here a moment ago, and yeah, I just saw that little bastard right there. I'm gonna get you. Don't think I won't. Anyway, let's get to this next story here. Because, like I said, 4th of July is something that has a huge significance to me. And I think it does to a lot of you guys. It is the birth of our nation. It is something that we, as conservatives, as disaffected liberals, moderates, normal people, we celebrate and love our country. We may not necessarily agree on the proper path on how to get to make it better, but for most of us, and I say most of us because there's a lot of disingenuous players out there on both the left and the right, that we want a better future. And the flag represents something truly good, that we are the shining city on the hill, that we are the last bastion of freedom and hope for a better tomorrow, a better today. Have we had our problems in the past? Yes, undoubtedly. But what other country has made the strides that we have made over the last almost 2.5 centuries? What other country has literally fought a war over something, like slavery? Now, I know slavery wasn't the only issue, but it was one of the bigger issues during the Civil War. And then, of course, all the fights that came after that during the Civil Rights era. We have done more to create prosperity here in this nation. And not only has this nation prospered, but we have actually done more than any other nation in the history of mankind to take care of other nations across the world. So, that being said, when I see the American flag, to me, this is something that, well, it means something. And as I've often said, symbols have meaning. Well, apparently, for some people, those symbols can be triggering. They're triggering because, well, again, I think they're weak. But in this story here, and this comes from Up North Live, there's a professor, and this professor out of Marquette University, feels anxious around excessive imagery of the American flag. Oh, Slappy, You wouldn't like being around me. No, let's take that off. You wouldn't like being around me because I've got several American flag tattoos on me. So yeah, I'm like a walking flag post. I'm a walking billboard for the USA. All right, let's go here. This comes out of Milwaukee. The Continental Congress approved the design of the national flag for America on June 14th of 1776 to honor that day and Old Glory. The date is now celebrated as National Flag Day. Now, nearly 250 years later, one professor says excessive imagery of the Star Spangled banner makes him feel a little bit anxious. You know what makes me feel anxious? Watching a bunch of black-clad people with their Antifa flag, with the red salute on there. That makes me anxious. And let me tell you why. Because usually when that happens, violence follows. Businesses are going to get looted, burned. Somebody's going to be bleeding. That's not the case when you see the American flag. But I digress. Dr. Grant Silva, an associate professor of philosophy at Marquette University, was interviewed by UWM's Taryn Powell for a Flag Day article. Powell titled the piece, Marquette professor examines the anxiety some people of color feel toward the American flag. I got to give credit to Powell here because at least he said some people. And as I was looking through this article earlier, I'm over here like, why do these people think they talk for all people of color? Like, that one just blows me away. It's like, did I miss the meeting? Is there a meeting for the Hispanics and the blacks or anybody who's the particular shade? Did I not get the invitation? I'm a little mad if there was a meeting and I didn't get invited because I would like to have had a vote. I would like to have spoken on this before I had some whack job try to represent what I look like. Nonsense. But we continue. It's quoted as saying here, while some see the American flag as a symbol of freedom for all, others, like some people of color, struggle with a connection to the symbol due to the experiences in the United States, Powell writes. For her article, Powell speaks with Silva about what the American flag means to her, as Powell is herself a black woman. Silva is quoted as saying that he is a Mexican American in the interview. For example, I'm a black woman, and over the past few years, I continue to analyze what the American flag means to me. Powell says, especially considering the growth in extremism post-Trump presidency, those extremists using the American flag against people of color to say that they're real Americans. Question. I don't think I live under a rock. Now, I know I live in the middle of nowhere, but I do travel throughout the state quite a bit. And I know that many of you live throughout the state as well. I am curious, how many people have you come across that, are using the American flag or patriotism to browbeat people of color? I'll wait for the answer. I really need some Jeopardy music here. Because I don't think that exists. I don't think that happens. I don't think it even happens in Milwaukee. Nobody cares. Silva said he had similar experiences with the American flag, according to Powell. I get a little bit anxious around the excessive imagery of the flag, in part because of my experience. Patriotism quickly slips into nationalism. Silva is quoted as saying, especially the simplistic version of patriotism, the flag waving, my country, love it or leave it kind of attitude. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from becoming nationalism. So what do you call woke leftist ideology? It's the exact opposite. Because really, I think, and it's funny because for years, for decades, there has been this attitude, love it or leave it. There's been this attitude that if you're migrating from another country, coming to America, the idea is for you to assimilate to the American culture. Now, of course, it's always fun because what exactly is American culture? America is so large that we don't necessarily have one culture, but we do. We do have certain cultural values. We have a shared language, that language being English, even if it's not the official language. We have shared values like, hey, don't go, basic values that are pretty human, don't go around taking from other people, go out there, do the best you can be, work hard, and make things happen. Those are shared American values, you know. It doesn't matter where you come from. Most places, family values are our family values across the board. You bring that here, great. You want to live in a little enclave, great. But being an American is something you strive for. Immigrants, in the years gone by, they knew this as clear as day. How many stories do you know of people go back 2 generations, 3 generations, where they would end up having somebody, somebody would tell you, like, yeah, back in my day, our parents didn't even let us speak our native language. That language could be Gaelic, it could be Italian, it could be Spanish. And why? Now, you live in America. You're an American now. Again, those are shared values. But with the left, when they talk about, it's just a hop, skip, jumping away from becoming nationalism, their idea of nationalism is this idea that we're going to somehow go into this, fascistic Italian Mussolini style government. Well, nothing can be further from the truth, because when we take a look at what nationalism means to people today, especially people on the right, it is take care of your home first before you take care of anybody else. It is being proud of your country, and not so much so that you acknowledge the errors of the past, but you also at the same time realize that, what, we've done a lot of damn good things over the last 250 years, and we can do more. But in order to do that, in order to be of service to anyone else on this planet, we have to take care of our own first and foremost. But that oftentimes gets lost on individuals like this. Silva then adds that while as much as he would like to see the flag displayed in a proud manner, the stars and stripes are all too quickly takes on the stakes that as a non-white person can mean a lot. Silva then explains, it can mean a sense of inclusion or exclusion, a sense of belonging or ascription of perpetual foreigner, perpetual outsider status. That flag is not for me unless I'm willing to abide by the assimilatory paradigm that some of these individuals that you're talking about tend to put forward. Yes. You have, okay, here. Let me break it down like this. If I were to move to Mexico, right, I would be expected to assimilate to Mexican culture. I would need to learn how to speak Spanish. I would need to learn what the cultural norms and values and mores are. It would be the same if I moved to Japan. It would be the same if I moved to the UK. I would have to learn, get used to bland food, tea, and crumpets. It would be the same if I went to Switzerland and I had to learn to enjoy them crappy little meatballs they like to make. It would be the same no matter what. Why should we be any different? And if you feel uncomfortable with that, then why are you here? Paul then writes, she told Silva that he makes a good point there in that people of color often have to assimilate and give up some part of their racial or ethnic heritage to be seen as true Americans. Boy, I don't know who they hang out with, because I've never seen it like that. But what do I know? I just work here. Silva then speaks out about his own experience with ascriptions of differences that he says he continually had throughout his childhood and early days of adulthood. Those feelings kind of reinforce the perspective that, well, in order to belong here, I have to pay the price. In a sense, I have to assimilate. You think? Silva then reportedly says that he can imagine a better sense of national belonging when people see themselves as included as part of the recomposition of the whole nation, rather than feeling a need to assimilate. Many online responded to the article by leaving social media replies telling Silva to leave the United States if the flag upsets him. Bravo. Bravo. GTFO. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. I'm sorry. I'm a big believer. If the flag triggers you, if being an American triggers you, if you have a problem and you want to work toward making a better tomorrow, sure, I get you. But what this guy is talking about is just utter garbage, utter nonsense. Marquette University, where Silver is an associate professor of philosophy, is located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I want to examine something here. Silver then reportedly said that he can imagine a better sense of national belonging when people can see themselves as included as part of the recomposition of the whole nation rather than feeling a need to assimilate. This here, boys and girls, is actually true. Very true. As is Stephanie's comment, the professor is a woke idiot. 100%. But what makes his comment so true on both fronts here is that, again, you can, when you come into another nation, you assimilate to their culture. That doesn't mean, though, that you have to give up your your ethnic traits. It doesn't mean that you have to give up, your feelings of where you come from or celebrate. I mean, hell, for years in any major metropolitan area, right? There are areas that are exclusively one ethnicity or another. Case in point, if you go to in the Milwaukee area, if you go to 13th and Layton, there's a mosque there. And if you go 13th and Layton, there's a gas station on the southeast corner. The mosque is on the southwest corner, closer to the highway. But if you go back several blocks, all of it is a Muslim enclave. All of it. If you go into certain parts of town, right? South side is predominantly Hispanic, but it hasn't always been. As a matter of fact, it used to be predominantly German and predominantly Polish at one point. North side used to be predominantly Jewish, predominantly Italian. Then it moved out to be predominantly Black. My point is that in every major metropolitan area, you will have a Hispanic side of town. You will have a Chinatown, a Koreatown. I think in Milwaukee, there's an enclave of Hmong individuals that live there. And nobody is going on about how negative their culture is or anything else. So to his point, there's truth in this. As a nation, by recognizing and appreciating these people's cultural differences, it is part of the recomposition of the whole nation. Absolutely. But yet at the same time, assimilation needs to happen so that, yes, you're Hmong, you celebrate your Hmong holidays, your culture, your language, but you also incorporate that to the betterment of just being an American. Because America is that place where we have literally everybody from every nation as part of the American tapestry. So let's see here. What did Christine put here? Associate professor of what? DEI? It's a good question. Damn good question. Oh, DEI. I am so tired of that one. I should do a show on that here in a little bit. But all right, let's take our next 30-second break. When we come back, I want to get into another story. This story is actually pretty important. We got a state senator that, we're entering hour two, so we may drop an F-bomb here. We're only going to drop an F-bomb because that's what Democrat State Senator LaTanya Johnson had said. So give us here about 30 seconds. We'll be right back. I want to give a shout out to Jessica McBride, Jim Pavarchek. I want to give a shout out to Wisconsin right now. They did an interview with Governor Ron DeSantis earlier today, about 3:30 Central Standard Time. Governor DeSantis called into their show, and the show lasted, I want to say, about 20 minutes or so. Great questions, speed round, the whole bit. And I love seeing, other podcasters doing well, doing things like this, bringing this discussion to the forefront. And I want to talk about the Trump DeSantis hot mess here in a little bit here. But if you guys haven't had a chance to check them out, make sure you do check out that podcast. If you go to their pages or Wisconsin Right Now, it's on there. And I think Ron DeSantis, he answered all the questions, and just like I thought he would. And I think it's very telling. So if you like DeSantis, you're probably really going to like this interview. If you don't like DeSantis, you're probably going to pick it apart and still like the interview. So either way, it's funny how people see what they want to see. But let us go back to another screen share. Let's do this right here. I really need a producer. I need a producer, and I need Joe Lozano to be my moderator. I got to figure out how to get that done. Political discourse is such an interesting topic because, when we think about politicians, we generally tend to think about, stodgy squares that kind of just sound almost identical. They give you talking points. They, especially if you're a conservative or a Republican, the stereotype is that you're kind of a stick in the mud. You're not cool, not hip. You're out of touch with a lot of cultural issues. And I think it's interesting because that might have been what a conservative or a Republican was in years gone by. I don't think that's necessarily the case today. I mean, you take me, for example, as a conservative, I'm the furthest thing from something like that. But I also do think that that individual may not necessarily be able to communicate with a certain group of the population. So, for example, if you're the type of guy who you sound like a square, you are a square, you seem out of touch, you're not going to be able to relate to another group of people that say every other word out of their mouth is a cuss word. Or you may not necessarily be able to relate with another group of people where all they use is the particular type of slang. I mean, it could be urban street talk. It could be the slang that, kids are using today. It could be technical jargon. Unless you're able to communicate with people in the way that they understand, your message oftentimes will go way over people's heads, and you will be looked at as being condescending. Now, that being said, anybody who's listened to my content over the years knows I am not afraid of dropping a 4-letter word. Hell, I'll go on a diatribe. Why? Because I can. That's just what you get with me. Of course, I also know time and place. But yes, I'm having a smoky treat. It's my show. I can do that. But when you're a state senator, though, and I get it, people get passionate and they bring stuff up. Totally understand that. Wait, what? Why do I get this here? I don't want that. There we go. See, I have to go back here because sometimes they push articles and it goes to the next site, and it's like, that's not what I want here. All right, let's get this garbage out of here. Don't need commercials. And even during, campaigns, primaries, other things like that, you'll hear politicians say, you know what? We're not taking this shit anymore. We're going to get out there and we're going to kick some ass. Figuratively, not literally. And sometimes dropping a word like that emphasizes where you're coming from. But in this particular case, I find this story to be fascinating on so many different fronts because, one, there's a tact issue here. Is it tact? Is it passionate? Or is it out of line? That's a question I'm going to leave for you guys to decide. Then you also have the idea that, all right, Ian C. Jordan, Latanya, love that idiot. Well played, sir. Well played. But then you have the idea about city folks versus, everybody else in the state. Very important that we get to that, and we will get to that here in a minute. But in this story here, Milwaukee State Senators said fuck the burbs during a heated debate about crime sprees from major cities to quiet neighborhoods in moment critics are comparing to Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables. Are those two comparable? But are they? Are they really? Well, anyway, let's get into the article here. Milwaukee State Senator said fuck the burbs during a heated debate about crime spreading from major cities to quiet neighborhoods. LaTanya Johnson bursted out with a remark after a speech detailing crime in Milwaukee and gun violence in particular. At the end of her rant, the Democrat declared, fuck the burbs because they don't know a goddamn thing about how life is in the city. No, LaTanya. No. Feel like LA Knight over here. No. A lot of people that are in the suburbs and in rural areas, they know about life in the inner city. They know about life in cities like Milwaukee and Fond du Lac and Appleton and Chicago and Oakland. That's why we're out here, because we know about life in the city and why we know that it's a sinking ship. But I'll get into that here in a minute. The shocking outburst drew widespread condemnation and was compared to Hillary Clinton's 2016 gaffe when she labeled Donald Trump's fans deplorables. Wisconsin said, all right, who wrote this? Daily Mail. Give me a name. Joe Hutchinson. Joe. Wisconsin Senate Speaker Robin Vos. I'm going to need Jesus for this one. I really am. If you're going to drop names, if you're going to put out an article like this, please get people's titles correctly. Wisconsin Senate Speaker. There's a Senate leader, Devin LeMahieu. But Robin Vos is the Assembly Speaker. Big difference. Anyway, Robin Vos tweeted, elected officials say dumb things occasionally, and when that happens, apologies are appropriate. But are they, Robin? Are they really? Serious question here, because like in this particular case, I don't know. Is she fit to serve? That's the question. Well, it's not only a question for myself. Oh, do they got the article? Or let's see. Let's see if we can play this. See if you guys hear this, let me know. That's what's that video. Oh.
When traditional education takes years to put into practice, it's time to break tradition. At University of Phoenix, we're earning career-relevant skills with every 5 to 6 week course as we pursue our bachelor's and master's degrees.
Not only is that educational advice, but it's not financial advice. But
not years.
As a former admissions advisor, I'll tell you,
workforce.
Don't do it.
And we don't.
Let's see if we can get what she says here.
Earn career-relevant skills in weeks, not years. At University of Phoenix.
Let me know if you guys are hearing this. Oh, you can't hear nothing. So basically, we waste our time here. All right, forget about it. All right, moving on here. Backing her speech, fellow Democrat Francesca Hong tweeted, Senator Johnson spoke passionately to defend the communities she represents. Republicans who continuously weaponize and villainize the people of Milwaukee without accountability need to answer for consistently legislating racism. All right, Miss Hong. Okay. If I recall correctly, I'm looking at another article here. Miss Hong. Let's see. No, not that article. Yes, Francesca Hong was recently up here in my county, in Waushara County. And I'll talk about that later. But here's the point that I want to make here. Milwaukee does a good enough job on its own of weaponizing and villainizing its own people. Okay? It doesn't need anyone else to do that. Anybody else that's talking about Milwaukee, such as myself, from Milwaukee, are doing it from experience. We have seen it firsthand, and that's why many of us have ghosted out. These absurd times in state government call for real talk. In other words, validating her saying, fuck the suburbs. Recent crime stats for the city show that crime has dropped 14% overall compared to the same time last year. Last year was record-breaking, dropping 14%, while good is still nothing to brag about. Despite this, there have been a small increase in the number of rapes this year, up 3% on last, as well as the number of robberies, which have climbed 1%. Last year, last year increase in crime has been seen across human trafficking, which soared 29% this year. Managing editor for Wisconsin Law Journal, Steve Schusser, believes that Johnson is not fit for office after her remarks. In an editorial comment, he writes, State Senator LaTanya Johnson is not fit for office, and Wisconsin deserves someone who loves Wisconsin, all Wisconsin, rural, urban, and suburban. And then it goes on here with his comment, but I want to take this in a slightly different direction, though. And I think it's important that we do this. Whether we're talking in this context, let's talk about it in the context of crime, and then let's talk about it in the context of money. Okay. In the context of crime, one of the most shocking things that I just went over was that the increase in human trafficking has gone up 29%. That's huge. Rape up 3%. Robberies up 1%. So the homicide rate went down. That's great. But all these other areas are just banging off. I mean, hell, why do you think a movie like Sound of Freedom is doing so well? Because it's identifying a major, major problem. And obviously, the border crisis, you got a lot of human traffickers doing their thing out there like that. So this is a huge problem. And if you live in the rural areas like I do or in the suburbs, all you got to do is talk to somebody. Look for the shadiest person you know. Safely know. And ask them about stuff like that. Ask them, how bad is the drug problem in this area? And they'll tell you. They'll tell you. I live in an area where, like I said, I'm 30 minutes off of 41. And I can tell you 41, northbound, southbound, is a main thoroughway for human trafficking and drug smuggling. And any major highway that goes east and westbound, same thing. And that happens to affect areas like where I live in Waushara County, where people in Portage County deal with. That's the Stevens Point area. Adams Friendship, big problems out there too. The crazy part, I was in Wood County, I'm going to say about 3 months ago. I was attending an event there. I was emceeing the Lincoln Day dinner there for the Wood County Republican Party. And I was talking to the sheriff. And the sheriff was telling me about a guy who had shot a cop or shot at. Well, he escaped. And apparently they ended up finding him in Wood County. And I happen to know one of the cops that was involved in the arrest. He's part of a group in the Milwaukee Police Department that has the abilities to go all over the state. But this guy was from Milwaukee. And he brought his nonsense up to Wood County. And in doing so, he went through every other county to get there. So how can she say that people don't know what it's like living in the city or what the city's about? Obviously, he's bringing that nonsense with him. Obviously, they had to use the joint task force to bring him in. They brought him in without incident, but even where I live, meth is a huge problem. Fentanyl is a huge problem. And even to a lesser extent, we know human trafficking happens through here because, again, you can only get from point A to point B coming right through here. It is a problem. So there is, to say that it is racist, that Milwaukee's crime problem is adversely affecting the rest of the state, to deny that is not only are you playing politics, but you're just damn stupid to even think that. It is the most absurd idea to think that you're coming from a place of racism. No, a lot of people got out of Milwaukee, myself included, because of the crime, because of the violence, because of everything going on. And to say that it's racist is complete garbage. Because if you live in the Milwaukee area, you know that at one point in time, the crime was really limited to very small parts of the south side, north side, in terms of major crime. But like all cancers, it will metastasize. And in the course of that metastasization, well, it is spread out beyond the north side, further up, and going further south, going into the Oak Creek area. Boy, I told you guys, I was staying at a hotel over the past couple months. I was over there, and we were right next to a Motel 6. No, it wasn't the Red Roof Inn. But I will tell you, every day I go out for a smoky treat, and I would go watch the Motel 6 people outside. Boy, they never stopped entertaining me. They really didn't. Because every time I would show up there, there was either an ambulance, a police car, a dog going around sniffing for drugs up and down the parking lot. There were people getting arrested, and that's Oak Creek. Like all cancers, it has metastasized that far. And that's why people leave these areas, you know? So that's the crime point of it. The other point, though, Ian said, he goes, I'm irritated with Milwaukee. I left too. Had to ghost out. We're going to talk about, did the Milwaukee Common Council vote on a sales increase today? Or is it scheduled for tomorrow? They did today. It was breaking news. Sales tax in Milwaukee going up 2%. Yeah, we saw that. We knew that one was going to happen. But let me go from the crime portion of it to the finances. And then I want to get into city versus everything else. From the financial perspective, I know there was this whole idea about the shared revenue plan. This goes to Christine's point here, where obviously they have to raise the taxes in order to fund things like pensions and retirement and other things like that. Otherwise, they're going to have to cut essential services. But here's the problem, though. People in the city of Milwaukee, and I've talked to many people in the Milwaukee area, that their belief is that the rest of the state owes them something. They believe that because Milwaukee is the economic engine of the state, that somehow the rest of the state should be beholden to them, be it in taxing way up the hill where I'm at, or going to Eau Claire and pulling money from there so that way they can get a brand new stadium, or for whatever other pet project that happens in the Milwaukee area. The economic engine, as it were. And then, of course, you have people outside of the major metro Milwaukee area. And a lot of people out here realize that, yeah, we can't survive without Milwaukee. Why don't you guys kick us over some dollars? Here's the problem. Neither one of them can afford themselves. My county can't afford to exist without state funding. Milwaukee can't afford it, do it. And a lot of that happens to be because of overspending in the Milwaukee area, a failure to cut where they need to cut, to get rid of top-heavy administrators and bloat within government. And then you got areas like mine where there's just not a tax base in order to fund everything that we have here. And then, of course, the idea that, where I'm at, could we do better? Sure, but that would also be increasing taxes. And oftentimes that's put to a referendum, and nobody is going to vote, or I shouldn't say nobody. The average person is not going to vote to increase their own sales tax, to increase their own property tax. They just seem to think that the lights outside just magically turn on. They just think that magically somehow the garbage gets picked up. They turn a knob, water comes on. They just think that's just magically how it happens. It's a weird paradox, because both sides don't realize that they really need each other to function, but both sides think that, well, screw you, pay me. That's how they see that. And when I look at, State Senator Johnson's attitude, that's kind of the attitude that I see there. F the burbs, right? Because you don't know what it's like, what was her direct quote? Let's find that again. Let's find that direct quote. Because they don't know a goddamn thing about how life is in the city. But just the same, if you live in the city, you don't have an idea of what life is in the suburbs. You don't have any idea of what life is in the rural communities. It's a different culture. It's a different way of life. And like I said earlier, quite often, there is a reason why people just, if you've lived in the city like I have, and you got tired of all the nonsense, you ghosted out. You were one of the smart ones. You were one of the ones that were early in the game. Now ask me if I'd ever go back to Milwaukee to live permanently. Nah. There is no dollar value that can be put into me to go back there. So It is an interesting paradox. I don't know what the solutions are on it. Actually, I kind of do, but I'll get into that at a later date. But all right, let's take last break here. Then I want to get into this Trump DeSantis back and forth pissing contest between the supporters. And yeah, it entertains me quite a bit. So on this one here, let's go 1 minute. I'll be right back. Bear with me here as I am dealing with some of this back and forth, trying to play this music and everything. They got a lot of cool features here. Broadcasting with Restream.io, and yeah, I'm kind of digging it. I'm kind of digging it. On the phone with me, and if you're in the chat room, make sure you let me know you can hear this. We got ENC Jordan. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Man, I had to call in. Doing good, man. But I heard you talking about the tax increases.
Yeah, I saw you and Christine were talking about that. Yes, increases. From the Milwaukee Common Council.
Brother, this is nuts, dog. I got a friend in Chicago who told me that the governor of Illinois donated to that son of a gun freaking campaign. The governor of Illinois. That's why they did it. That's why they were partially raising the taxes and all of those different things to prevent people from moving from Illinois to come to Wisconsin. Yeah, they were talking about that on the news. I was like, whoa. And he told me, and I didn't really do anything with it because I was like, all right, bro, whatever. You know, I mean, you know how that is.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get sources where you get information. And it's kind of like, all right. But yeah, Jay Weber was talking about it, and Mark Belling was too.
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
So with this veto that Tony Evers did for the state budget, the biannual state budget, right? He has made the state of Wisconsin a more hostile work, environment tax-wise than even Illinois.
Bro, the corporate tax in Wisconsin right now. This is, I mean, this kind of just for your listeners and viewers, just to let everybody know one of the reasons personally that we left. Now, from a business perspective, income tax there is almost 6%, 6 to 7, depending upon what type of income earner you are.
Yep.
6 figures, it goes almost to 9%, and then 7 figures, you know how it goes.
Yep.
So when you I heard you drop the F-bomb, but I'm gonna keep it PG tonight. But the thing is, though, and this is another thing everybody should actually pay attention to. Go to YouTube and look up California and look up businesses that left California. And this is all going to tie together. You look at the businesses that all left California, they all moved to Texas. And I believe Texas income tax, I believe, is 3%. And I believe, corporate tax is low as hell, right?
Yeah.
So we moved, we've been doing everything in Tucson for like a decade, right? I just moved recently because, everything is getting to the point to where I need to be here. So income tax here is 2.5%.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine in Wisconsin what would happen if they would be the first state in the Midwest region between Iowa, Minnesota, and Illinois to go ahead and have no income tax? Because they've been trying to do it, just so everybody knows. Your Republicans, to an extent, and I know I've asked Republicans a lot, with that said, they've been trying to get no income tax for a while, and Rebecca Clayfish and Tim Michaels both were on that path. And if you remember during the Walker administration, remember Rebecca and Scott were doing that.
Yep.
They just didn't get to it, just like far as the road project. But anyway, that's why 92,000 people left last year.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, bro, like this mind numbing. And the more that the more that we expand our businesses and we do more, we do different things, not going to different states across the country. I'm telling you, bro, Wisconsin is going to be one big Milwaukee if they're not careful. And people always like to joke and say, "Oh, well, it's only happening in Milwaukee." And I've heard
no, it's not.
Before, bro. Dude, that stuff spreads. That nonsense spreads, dog. And it's going to spread. Look at Waukesha right now. Wauwatosa is already there. Remember,
Wauwatosa, yeah.
Brother, I remember when Paris lived out there.
God bless
it. So remember Paris had moved to Brookfield. This was a few years ago. And the reason I'm bringing him up is because we love him to death. But I'm bringing up this aspect of it because even 5-6 years ago, he was saying that. He was like, dude, Tulsa that went, whoa, quote unquote. He was like, this is crazy up in here. And that's my overall point. People with the resources, bro, are going to always move. I had the resources to move and start a new life somewhere else. Not pay these taxes, not pay these income taxes, and not pay this corporate tax. Because in a few years, we're going to have maybe 100 employees, maybe the next 5 years.
But you don't even have to have
many employees.
You don't even have to have resources to move. You have to look at, and this is where I tell people when they're like, "Oh man, well, it's really hard to move." Yeah, it is. It is. But what's harder? Is it harder to stay in a city like Milwaukee or Portland? How about Portland when they had like 4 months of nothing but riots every day? And if you happen to stay there, then you know what? That's on you, because you decided that it was more tolerable and easier for you to stay there and deal with the potential danger than it was to go out on your own and start anew. Because in 2014, and I can speak on this with extreme authority, in 2014, that's exactly what we did. We picked up, we quit 2 good paying jobs and got the hell out of Dodge. Why? Well, let's see here. Where you at? Hold on.
Yeah, I'm here.
I got the magic 8 ball right here. I got my magic 8 ball right here.
Oh, okay.
Now my magic 8 ball didn't tell me what was going to happen or when it was going to happen. But all you had to do is look at the writing on the wall, and you knew that something bad in the cities was going to happen. And lo and behold, Kenosha. And then all the other nonsense that has happened in Milwaukee over the last couple of years. You knew it was going to happen. And
it's simple too.
Well, it cracks me up because it's like, okay, I was driving over to my mom's house over the weekend, and I'm talking to Jen, and I'm over here like, man, if I'm standing here right where I'm at this moment in time, it is very possible that I can go a mile in any direction and find another person there and maybe not even cross paths with them my entire life. 1 mile within a city. Okay.
Exactly.
That's how many people that there are. You might cross each other on the highway, but that's about it. But you might not ever meet that person. You may never talk to them. Nothing. And people think because I'm a mile away that somehow I'm safe. Nah, dude. What happened in Kenosha? If I was really hell-bent on violence, taking a 45-minute ride to Milwaukee and starting some stuff up, that ain't nothing, especially if I want to prove a point. And just because even for myself, I may live 2 hours away, 3 hours away, but that doesn't make me 100% safe. I'm safer than people living in the city.
You way safer.
But not without risk. Again, we know crime comes up everywhere. Spreads its ugly tendrils. Yeah, and Stephanie makes a good point here. She says here, it might be hard for people to sell their house at the price they need. But if it means that much to you to get out, you will do whatever. Here, let's take a look at the people in Ukraine when Russia started bombing the hell out of everybody.
Yeah.
At that point, you didn't care to sell your house. I mean, it sucked. You lost everything. All you need to do is get your most valuable things, your family, get them out. And I think really when you look at cities like Milwaukee, Portland, Oakland, St. Louis, that's how you have to look at it. But again, everybody has to weigh the risk reward of this, because was it risky doing what I did? Absolutely. It took me a number of years to get back up on our feet here, but we did. You know,
I was gonna say I got a question for you.
Shoot.
I got a question for you. As far as in regard to as far as the language that's in the bill, where he raised the property tax for over 400 years. Obviously, it was a verbiage issue, and I know I heard Robin on multiple news outlets speaking on that. Right?
Yeah.
What do you think of the level of pettiness? Because you don't just have conservatives and Republicans listening to your broadcast. You have people on the left that listen to you too. So I wonder what they think about that on a real level. Because I'm not one of those guys that's on the right from the clowning for loving either. I completely understand. Tim Michaels looked like a stump at times. I do completely understand. And I understand the people that want to Rebecca, right?
Yeah.
My question, though, as far as this time around, are you going to support the candidate that comes out, even if it's not who you like? Because
we talking the presidential primary?
No matter what happens. No. I'm talking about the governor again, because the presidential is going to be a Democrat. I've talked to 6 forecasters. They all think that Trump, if he makes the nomination, which he probably is, he's going to lose. And I talked to my boy from Fox, and they're working. They're doing the NFL combine. My boy Chris, I ain't gonna say his last name, but my boy Chris is up there, and my business partner, they're in the Bahamas. The NFL is having a weekend thing or whatever. And I talked to him for like maybe 10 minutes, and we talked about the presidential election. And he had his boy with him. That's an election forecast. And he said it looks like Trump is going to get it. Anybody Trump will lose by at least 6 points. And I agree. And the reason I say that, I talked to our guy, one of our guys, a talk show host. I ain't gonna say his name, but you want to be like Mike. And I know I think he's on the same page too. So we'll see during the election, because my goal is, as far as us, when the election is on, man, we're gonna hopefully, you'll do a live broadcast. I'll chop it up with you and we'll talk. But I'm telling you though, Big E, I don't know, dog. I really see it being a Democrat again, just because the stable is messed up. Like, for instance, DeSantis in Florida. I think today or yesterday, they passed. He's trying to get a bill passed to where Chinese people can't buy farmland.
Yeah,
I believe commercial real estate or something like that, right? So he got that going. So that's gonna look great. My mom, and I talked to her about this today, she completely agrees with it. She was like, why wouldn't you do that, considering, what's going on with China, right?
Well, and they're buying up tons of farmland. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. That's common sense. Like, my mom, she doesn't lean to the right, but she doesn't lean to the left either. She's more of an independent. But she instantly, didn't even think about it. She's like, that makes sense. So, but the thing is, the media is going to turn that into he's racist. And I heard that on the Democrat platform, and the Democrats said, by the way, I agree with that too. We are lost right now. They're going to do whatever they can to get another Democrat in the White House. So it's kind of scary, though. It really is.
So you gave a lot to unpack right there. So let's unpack this.
My fault.
No. And I'm glad you brought it all up, because it's really what I wanted to close out the latter part of the show here with, because you got. Well, your timing's good, man. That's what's up. But you have Trump supporters, and then you've got DeSantis supporters, and both of them are stumping really hard. And it's interesting. There's a popular YouTuber by the name of Tim Pool, somebody I like watching quite a bit because I like his insight. The problem is, though, that he's going on about DeSantis supporters being like unhinged and everything else. And I'm like, dude, where are you seeing this?
There you go.
Like,
exactly.
That's like when people were saying that the Clayfish supporters were like unhinged and rabid. I have yet to meet one. Nobody has given me proof about that. Not a soul. They have tried.
They loyal though, bro. They loyal. The Rebecca supporters all the other side.
Sure.
Loyal. I admire that. I've said that publicly. I admire that.
But here was the problem though. When Clayfish ended up losing the primary, right? And we saw what Trump and Michaels did at that Trump rally in Waukesha. When they blasted Clayfish as a communist sympathizer, he started bashing the hell out of Joel Clayfish as this, big lobbyist. Never mind the fact he was lobbying for conservative causes. Let's omit that fact. Rebecca was like, well, fine. People are like, well, why wasn't she on the campaign trail? Man, you talk that kind of trash about me and my family. You want me to be on your team? Nah, you wanted it. You got it. Do it. Yeah. And I'll be over here, not saying a word. I'll be over here doing that. Now, that being said, though, before we go to 2026, we have to get past 2024. And right now, we're still dealing with the wounds of 22. And nobody has dealt with this. More importantly, though, if we're looking to forecast who's going to be a primary winner, all those people you talked about, all those people that said, oh no, Biden's going to win. Oh no, it's going to be whoever. It's going to be Trump winning the primary. They're all wrong. All of them. We are literally looking at a year and 4 months before the November election. The first Republican primary debate happens on August 23rd at the Pfizer Forum. That's just the first debate. Second one, I can't remember where that was at, but doesn't matter. That's if they even have a second one. Hell, they may not even have first one. But all of them are wrong. And the reason that they're wrong is because, 6 months to a year, that's a lifetime in politics. Yeah. A lot of things can happen. So DeSantis has done a piss poor job launching his campaign, right? So DeSantis. Like, if you look at his video when he came out, I mean, just bland. And it's like, dude, it's like, bro, I get it. You were a JAG lawyer in the Navy, but be a little more animated. I mean, have some charisma. I mean, I don't know. Go out, do a promo like The Rock does. Do something.
You don't want to hear my defense.
No. I'll take that here in a minute. But Trump's got all this other baggage hanging over his head.
You don't want to hear it. Half your audience going to be pissed.
Well, let them be mad. Wait. Do you see any sleeves on this studio? If you look in the camera, do you see sleeves? No, I have zero. I got 0 F's on both sides. I should get a tattoo that says 0 F's.
I know you don't.
No,
but the thing is, though, that's what makes you unique. They don't, though. They don't understand. Like, the best chance to win, it seems like it'll be DeSantis, right? It seems like DeSantis. Dog, he don't got no personality. He doesn't understand how to run a campaign. He's standoffish with almost everybody. And I can say this just because when Tim was running, or whatever, he went up to Appleton. Bro, he didn't want to talk to no media. He trashed. It's nothing personal with me because I understand. I'm the same way. I wouldn't want to deal with nobody either. But the difference between me and him is that fool was running for president.
Yeah, even back then, it was like, we know you're running without you're running.
Exactly.
But Trump ain't no different either.
The dude, Trump better than him though, and I don't like Trump at all.
And that
DeSantis is the best chance to win, but Trump's personality, at least he'll be able to think on his feet, and he'll be able to come up with things. And like I said, and just to reiterate, I don't like him. I'm not a Trump fan.
Yeah.
I have an article coming out when we get everything situated with News Undone where I'm just going to go in real hardcore. I don't like him. I think he's
a dick
for the party.
I
think DeSantis is horrible too.
Well, the problem is, so here's the thing. DeSantis doesn't have a lot of charisma, but he is spot on in policy. Trump.
Yeah, policy, he's dead on. He's 100%.
But let's also look at the criticism for DeSantis. It was interesting coming from the Trump people because, like, just last year, that's America's governor. Oh man, he's just banging it out. He's taking it to the culture war, and he was. Then all of a sudden, he's kicking around the idea for running for president, and all of a sudden, he's a traitor to Trump. A traitor to Trump? What world are you living on?
Here we go.
Do we have to have loyalty to somebody?
You see where these idiots are, though, bro?
Right, but then
I'm serious. You see where these idiots are? They just don't.
Right, but then let's flip the script here, because then you have Trump And he's got all his legal issues that he's dealing with. And we know that this is the left trying to jam him up. Now, Trump had some really good policies, especially during the second part of his administration in years 3 and 4. But it's finding it very interesting that the Trump sycophants will not acknowledge all of the failures years 1 and 2. The fact that he allowed Paul Ryan and House and Senate Republicans to jam him up and go forward with the Russiagate. The fact that he couldn't just. One of the things that really frustrated me about Trump, and it entertained me during the primaries, fight everybody. I mean, it was like watching a battle royal at WrestleMania. It was freaking awesome. The problem is, though, is that when that is your whole act, well, now you're losing me. You lose me because I can only be entertained by stupidity for so long. Don't fight everybody. Write people off and then fight the fights you need to fight, but do it with such devastating ferocity that everybody's going to think twice before even messing with you. And then acknowledge your mistakes and then move on. When we look at, the areas that Trump is going to be weakest, it's going to be the COVID vaccine. It's going to be that he had, his ties with Fauci. DeSantis did something. The War Room, they put out a fake AI image, making Fauci and him look like they were buddies. And it was like, and the DeSantis campaign hasn't disavowed that. And I was like, guys, what the hell are you doing? Like, so there's pluses and minuses to both of them. Because honestly, if Trump becomes president, oh my God, it's going to be lit. That second administration is going to be off the hook because he's firing everybody.
He's gonna be going after everybody. Yeah,
but
he is. But the thing is, though,
here's what. But let me just add this last bit though. Everyone's assuming that it's going to be Biden winning. I'm gonna throw it out here.
It might not.
Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
By the way, Gavin Newsom reminds me.
I did a video on that.
Oh, did you? Yep. Gavin Newsom reminds me.
My number one. I did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I did a video. It's on TikTok. It's at UC Jordan on TikTok. If you put it in there, it's in my politics folder.
Mm-hmm.
And I put the top 10 people. This was like 2 years. Pete was on there. Obviously, Kamala was on there just in case Biden passed away or something like that. Because that's a realistic possibility. But my number one person was Gavin. And the reason I said it was Gavin is because, one, he can speak eloquently on policy.
Yep.
He's done a horrible job, but he's done very well at pushing the left-wing agenda.
Absolutely.
And they'll go ahead and look at it, similar to Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Remember when Brandon got elected, and you had him, and you had Paul Valley, or I can't remember the gentleman's last name, but he's a white guy. He's an Italian guy. And they picked Brandon, but Paul is a moderate Democrat. And this is, again, I know sometimes I state, this is the mayor of Chicago.
Yeah.
So for everybody listening. So they could have picked Paul Valley, and they didn't pick him, or Valley. They picked Brandon Johnson, and he's more social. He's worse than Lori Lightfoot. Now, to kind of tie that into what I was saying about California, it's the same thing with Gavin. Gavin, he keeps pushing the left-wing agenda in California to the point to where you can just walk into any store and up to $700 to $900, you can steal.
Oh yeah.
And you can go to like 10 stores in a day and just steal $600 worth of stuff, and you can make $6,000-$7,000 for everything on eBay. You can have a $12,000 a week.
Oh, you flip that? Yep, in a second. Absolutely,
brother. He's dangerous. He's dangerous. And this is what we do. I mean, you got your show. You got your show, the Ed Delgado Show. We got newsandsun.com. I do my podcast and everything. We talk about this stuff. But, brother, I don't think people understand how serious this is. The ramifications of the right wing not sticking together will be the push of another Democrat socialist president. And it's dangerous. It is dangerous, dog, because, I mean, we can have money and we can have all of these things. And right now, I got multiple guns. I got everything I need. But damn, bro, it doesn't have to be like this, because the Republicans do have good players in the So I'm sorry. I know you were about to interject.
Let me throw this here. Number one, it's great to have an arsenal, but you only have two arms. And that's, I always warn people. I got friends that are preppers, and they do some of the most crazy things in the world. I'm like, you do realize that unless you got a second bug out location, you're pretty much prepping for somebody else. Oh, I got all these guns, and yes, and you'll probably be the first to die. Thus, you have prepared for somebody else to take over your house. But don't listen to me. Gavin Newsom reminds me of like a B-rate movie villain. Hair slicked back, like American Psycho, but on a low budget. But he's well spoken. He's well spoken. He's good looking.
He's white Obama.
He's white Obama. Absolutely. And it's interesting because very few people are going to call out all the nonsense going on in California, and it will be very easy for him to redirect, because if he redirects to the mayors and the other people, the councils in the different cities, you can say, hey, I couldn't overstep my bounds. That's on them. Mayor of San Francisco, that's on you. Why people cramping all over the place? So it would be easy for him to redirect the same way like Trump is. And I think it's such a nonsensical argument when people are like, the DeSantis supporters are going after Trump because of COVID. Well, nobody knew what the hell they were doing during COVID. And if you're paying attention to the news, you just saw people dropping off all over the place. You saw, gyms just full of people, just all kinds of messed up. And what was Trump supposed to do? Trump was like, well, that's up to the governors to decide whether they're going to stay open or shut down. And at the time, everyone's like, well, that's, follow the Constitution.
Yeah.
Now, it's funny because the DeSantis supporters are like, well, he could have stopped that. I'm like, how? I mean, declare martial law across the nation? Sure. Put the Constitution on hold.
Stuff on DeSantis too.
Oh, sure.
I did a video on DeSantis where, and it's at TikTok at ENC Jordan. I did a video on DeSantis, not being funny, to where he was implementing mandates. A lot of people don't remember this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had people, and actually I had quite a few people that listened to your program that actually were sending me stuff. And I did a segment on it. I wasn't even going to do it, but I was overwhelmed by that 3-minute video on DeSantis. But one thing I'd like to add to that you just said, because it's a very good point. During the whole pandemic, right? Like Trump, he elevated, and obviously being a conservative, we don't like the whole stimulus checks and all that garbage.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother show, obviously. But the thing is, though, he raised the debt, 1.6 trillion, something like that.
Yeah.
COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was something like that, right? Okay. Biden has, what's the deficit right now within his first 3 years?
Oh, let's take a look here. What is the national?
And I don't got my computer put up.
Let's see. What's the national debt?
Alexa, what is the national debt?
The country's gross government debt is the financial liabilities of the government sector. 81 changes in government debt over time.
Alexa, you're talking too much. Get to the point.
Stop, Alexa.
$32 trillion.
I believe this. I think I was going to say it's like 32 to 38 trillion, right?
So
here, Trump did that. But look at what Biden has done since Biden was in office.
No, this is as of June 16th of 2023. So this is what kind of entertains me. It entertains me, but shocks me at the same time. You remember the housing crisis and the collapse in 2008? And I remember George W. Bush.
Absolutely, I do.
So you got it. Now I remember George W. Bush talking about, I had to abandon free market principles in order to save the free market. Now, at that time, I'm over here and I'm watching Fox News at the time. And this is when Fox News was actually good. I'm like, what the shit did he just say? What?
It was.
You had to abandon free market principles in order to save what? What kind of nonsensical? All right. Well, anyway, at that point, though, we were launching stimulus. Obama comes in, you got stimulus, you got the son of stimulus, you have the stimulus strikes back. It was like one stimulus after another. But the fear was going over $20 trillion. Because the moment you went over $20 trillion, all of a sudden, boom, that's the end of the economy. Well, clearly that didn't happen. And a lot of that's because we have the petrodollar. A lot of that is because, we got the largest military in the world, and we have the printing press. The Federal Reserve has the printing press, which the Federal Reserve isn't federal and it's not an actual bank. But here, we're going all over the place. It's freaking awesome because it all ties together.
I was going to say, you know what you need to call your program now?
What's that?
You need to call it the Smart Show.
The Smart Show.
And you need to call it the Smart Show. No, because if you look at the level of politics and economics that we're just talking just on a whim, I didn't show prep.
Oh no!
I just turned on because it's funny because I was looking. I was like, I wonder if E is on because here I'm 2 hours behind you.
That's
so
true.
I'm like, okay, I wonder if E is on. I'm like, damn. Let me see if E is on. And I'm listening, and I'm like, oh, okay, because I know your last segment was going to be about. How long were you going to be on today? What time are you getting off? I
was planning on being off like 20 minutes ago, but you know what? The show goes as long as it needs to go. Seriously, I'll have times where it's like, no, I just feel like doing an hour. I got a bunch of other stuff. Tonight, like I really want to get some sleep early because I haven't been sleeping proper, but I also know it's Prime Day.
I wasn't going to call you, but I was like, I had to get that out.
Well, but that's the thing, though.
You have to get up early.
But that's the funny part.
Yeah.
I get up ridiculously early. I go to bed way too late. And then I get consumed with a conversation or like after the show, it's Prime Day. So I got to look for some goodies here. Because I still got to buy like more clothes because I got to increase my drip. But, there's always, and I can never plan things proper. Because what ends up happening for me, I'm planning to do X, Y, and Z tonight. And then I've got like, 3 or 4 other people that are like, yeah, the hell you are. No, we're having a conversation. And my conversations are never like, 15, 20 minutes. It's like hour and a half, 2 hours. So yeah, I've accepted my lot in life. It just is what it is.
I'm telling you, brother, me and you, we need to go ahead and do a political economic segment at least like 30 minutes every week, bro, because I think like I've been trying to like really explain to people like I have a different perspective now. Like I grew up in the hood.
Right.
You know what I mean? I grew up in the street. You know what I'm saying? I come from a drug dealing environment, and I've said this before. And now I'm in a position to where, like my business partner, she's a freaking big time psychologist. She got a billboard.
Mm-hmm.
But we have
so what you're telling me is that you're becoming a respectable member of society.
Yes. From a different perspective. I don't think people and I don't think people understand how politics and business actually tie into one another. Like for instance, in Arizona right now, the Saudis are buying all of the groundwater and then they're selling it back to their own country.
Oh yes.
But the people in Arizona actually need it. And that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, I don't think people understand. Like, if people understood more that business and politics tied together, they wouldn't have all of these emotional attachments to these candidates. Like, what don't people understand that Trump don't give a damn about?
Here.
He really don't care about you.
Here, let me break it down like this.
He has absolutely no ties to regular people. He don't.
Let me break it down like this. I think the average person is an NPC, a non-playable character. And I think that because the average person is so consumed, but they're so consumed with their day-to-day. And, that again, you wake up in the morning, you go to the bathroom and handle your business, you go to a job that you hate, you spend 8 to 12 hours there, you come home, you hope that there's dinner. You maybe hang out with your family unless you're like one of those grumpy fucks that just, doesn't want to hang around with your family.
Exactly.
And then you go to bed, rinse and repeat. But in the interim, though, those NPCs, they might hang out with a friend or two here and there, and they'll sit here and they'll complain about X, Y, and Z. And a lot of these people, and I don't blame them, because they're still, like Andrew Tate would say, they're still stuck in the matrix. And they don't seem to realize that in order to unplug from the matrix, you got to recognize, one, that you're in the matrix. And once you've done that, if you're in the matrix, use it to educate yourself, learn critical thinking skills, and to be able to discern the BS from the actual. That requires just a little bit of effort. It doesn't require the effort that you, myself, those of you in the listening audience that we do on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're listening to my show, chances are you inundate yourself with the political. You understand what the NPC doesn't understand. Everything is political.
Yeah.
Your comic books, your anime, your TV shows, your music, your books, your magazines, your food, all of it is political.
Sure.
And the idea that us on the right are going to sit here and literally tear each other's to shreds, pulling out the long knives. Like sometimes, I swear to God, there are times when I deal with certain people and I just feel like I need to look at my dog. I'm like, Tor, fetch me my knives. I just, but I find it fascinating, though, that some of the people that are fighting against others on the right, they will not put the same gusto, vigor, piss and vinegar, hellfire and brimstone against the left. And I think that people on the left, they enjoy that because I think that is a design of theirs. As a matter of fact, I know it is because there is a group of Democrats, they refer to themselves as the Justice Democrats. I believe one of them was named Shaikat Chakrabarti. He used to be AOC's chief of staff, and there was another white guy, a Texan, real believer. They wanted to infiltrate.
I was gonna say, when you're done, I got something that'll blow your listeners' mind.
They wanted to infiltrate Republican primaries over the last couple cycles, and I believe they did accomplish that. But there's also the point that how do you wake these people up to start learning these things? How do you wake these people up to start doing their own research, to teach them critical thinking skills? And I think part of that is that as Republicans and conservatives, we have to do a better job of hooking emotional strings to a positive point. And then we also have to do a better job of storytelling. Did you ever see that one YouTube video, Contra Coast, the freestyle rap? If you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It's off the hook.
Okay, I'll pick it up.
But one of the lines that one of the brothers brought down, he's like, I'm a storyteller, so let me get into it. We need to become storytellers to convey our message. We need to become storytellers to embrace and influence culture. Angel Studios, who just recently released Sound of Freedom, they're doing that. Daily Wire is doing that. Tim Cass, which, again, I was critical of him earlier, but he is doing that with his group. We need to start doing that as well, too.
We do. When I got two things for you, and this is just the stuff I see because sometimes I just get fortunate by the grace of Christ.
Yeah,
I'm in certain positions where I hear certain things. Now, the first thing I was going to say in regards to everything that you said, as far as straight up with the right wing, I have somebody that I know, high-ranking member of the Democrat Party.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say high-ranking, when you think high, probably know them.
Probably talking the chair. All right.
Yep, I'm not gonna say it.
Fair enough.
Before I left, I talked to him. We was just chopping it up or whatever because I was telling him that I hate them, and I said I hate that they keep winning elections. And he said that he thinks, and this is what he really thinks.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that Republicans are stupid. He said it. He told me, he's like, man, Republicans are stupid. I was like, why you say that, Paul? He said, one, how do you not think that they're stupid? I'm like, are you talking about the voters or are you talking about the people in power? Because I think the people in power are stupid and racist and all that stuff. Some.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Not all of them. Like, some. So he was like, no, all of them. I was like, why do you say that? I knew what he was saying. He said because they don't vote with their brains, they vote with emotion. One. The second thing I was going to add is, as far as in regard to the Republican Party as a whole in Wisconsin, it's so divisive. And the reason it's divisive is what dude said. They love all of it. they love the confusion and everything, and we're helping them win.
Yeah.
We have better candidates on the right. It's not even close, bro. Like look at who you had running for governor. You had one dude that was the sitting governor. That was a bureaucrat, basically.
Yep.
That's a guy that has worked for the school board that doesn't understand economics, none of this stuff. And it was people like me, people like you, doing all of this, telling people exactly what's going on. But the reason people weren't on board is because we weren't on board with each other. So us not being on board with one another was the reason either one. And and then the guy that I was talking to, a highest ranking of the Democrat Party, he told me that. He said you guys, his exact words were, Republican voters are fucking inbred. That's what he said.
Allow
he said,
me.
not smart enough to figure it out.
Here. I know you watch WWE, but there's a new guy. There's a guy that's on the WWE scene. I love his opening line, and he starts off with, "Let me talk to you." Allow me to give a response to his analysis of Republican voters. I look at Democrat voters as
these dummies believe.
What's that?
I said that's what these dummies believe. They so damn dumb.
I look at Democrat voters as blatant racists. I personally think they are evolutionary throwbacks. They are atavists. They are evolutionary throwbacks, literally. And they use the term progressive, but in reality, it is a regressive platform that they have. Oftentimes, they will say things like, he will put you, Donald Trump wants to put you back in chains. Really? Who was the guy who said that, we're going to have all them N-words voting Democrat for the next 100 years? Who was the guy who gave jobs to black folks, the most dangerous jobs, and black folks were just happy to have them during the Depression? And that's where you had the quote-unquote
front line within the military.
Right.
They put us on the front line in the military. Those Democrats.
Right.
Yeah,
the Suicide Squad.
Don't even get me started. I get so mad.
So I think it's funny because a Democrat that would say that, do Republicans vote emotionally? I think there is a subgroup that does. The problem is that Republicans are so individualistic that they don't see the bigger picture in working together, whereas Democrats are collectivists. He can say that he thinks Republicans are inbred and whatever else, but Democrats are dead-souled individuals who are no better than the Borg from Star Trek. They're a collectivist hive mind that cannot think for themselves, which I think in and of itself makes them pretty freaking pathetic. Looks like we lost Ian there. We either lost Ian or Ian hung up on us. Let's find out. It's going to be fun. Let's see what we got here.
Hello.
I'm like, we either lost Ian or he hung up on us. Oh, I see what happened.
Okay, I hear you. Now.
Somebody tried calling on the Skype line. Well, wait, that was like half hour ago. Are you ending in, is the last two numbers of your phone, is it 58? Did I lose you again? All right, let's try this here. We're going to try something here. Let's get info. All right, let's try this here. One more. We're going to do one more. Oh, I see. I know what's up. I know what's up. Let's give it a go.
All right, hold on one second.
Yep.
Hello?
All right. Do I got you back there?
Yeah. I was going to say, would it be easier to streamline?
Either way, it works.
You can send me a link.
Well,
you said if you want to, you can do that.
send you what do you call it on the hold on here.
Oh yeah, I'm just at the home office or whatever. I got some stuff I'm working on. But yeah, you can send that to me if you want to.
Dude's like, I'm in
this
the
conversation is interesting, bro.
Dude's like, I'm in the home office.
Have been talking to people. Yeah, I've been talking to people that really think Republican votes are stupid. I'm like, actually, they're actually pretty intelligent. I'm like, what are you talking about? If he broke it down. There you go.
The problem with Republican voters is that they're too intellectual and they lack emotion.
Yep, they're too smart for their own good, and I've seen it up close and personal. They're too intelligent, and that's the problem. They go at each other so much. Okay, this is the stream. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and dive in here. I got plenty of power on phone and everything, so we will be good. And,
all right.
The connection should be good too. Hold on 1 second. Wow.
Excellent. I'm gonna get banned from you. I'm gonna get banned on YouTube just for saying that. By the way,
you silly. Dude, you say you're gonna get banned on YouTube?
Oh, I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me if I do get banned on YouTube for some of the stuff I say, because I really there is no script. It just all kind of comes off, and it's like, oh my god, he misgendered this squirrel, and it's like, it's a squirrel. Well, how do you know what the gender is? It's a squirrel.
Okay,
I'm gonna call all squirrels dude. That's all I'm saying,
bro. Oh, why is it not letting me do it? Safari can open. Oh, okay, let me do it. I gotta have some patience.
If you're on Safari, you may need to copy and paste the URL and put it in there.
No, I did. It just looked up. It was just a lag. After Suburbs.
All right.
Why am I black? I mean, I am black, but
that's more of an existential question you have to ask yourself, and it's a conversation between you and God. But I thought it was a matter of genetics, but what do I know?
Can you see me or no? Do I need to hang up?
We just got one big black screen here with you.
I don't know. Hold on, did I not allow my camera?
Yeah, you got to open your camera.
No, I had it open.
Well, I just got IG on here, or IJ.
Hold on.
Now we have no volume. Oh, do we got volume? Not yet. Check if you're muted, and check if where the source of your mic is coming from. Well, if you're on a phone, it should be that simple. Like, you should have just picked up. Still not hearing you. Got nothing yet. Video's coming across clear. Let me see. Make sure channels are here on my side.
All right, you should be able to hear me now.
All right, we got you.
Can you hear me?
Yep, perfect. Are you hearing us?
That's crazy. I don't know what happened.
Now you're good.
Hold on, I'll come right back. This is crazy.
All right. All right, let's get Ian back here. All right, Ian, once again.
You probably can't hear me.
Pure black screen. No, I'm hearing you crystal clear now.
Crap. They can't hear me. I don't know what's going on.
No, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, it's not allowing me to talk.
We can hear you, but you might not hear us. Here, we hear you. Can you hear me? Coming across. Crystal clear. We're messaging Ian here, in DM here.
All right.
Can you hear us?
Let me turn this up and see what we have. Yeah, StreamYard sometimes has issues.
Yep.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna go out and then go phone again.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I disconnected the earpieces. So let's go ahead. I'll be
Okay.
right back.
Oh, that might be. You know what? If you disconnect the earpiece, why are you tripping? Well, be careful. Yeah, he's fine.
Oh no. Yeah, it's not
All
gonna.
right,
I
I
don't
hear
think
you
it's
loud
gonna
and clear.
allow. I think I gotta have like headphones or something in. So I'm gonna try one more time and then I can call back or something. But
All right.
reason it's not allowing me to speak to you. See, the technical difficulties are just horrible. And I know you can hear me
This
now.
is
It's
a
actually like duplex
this is the
technology right now.
joy
Hold on.
of a live stream, by the way. When you're
Okay.
trying to get a
Yeah, I
guest
don't
on,
know
you're
why.
trying to make everything pop, but you're gonna have airs, and that comes with the territory. If you're looking for a polished
All
podcast,
right, let's go
this
ahead
ain't it.
and do this. Bluetooth.
Let's see what he's got here. He had it for a moment.
Yeah, I can't, bro.
You coming across here? He's still not hearing it. All right, he dipped out there. So let's take one more short little break. Hopefully, we can get Ian back here. Hopefully, we can do it within the next, I don't know. Let's see if we can give him a couple minutes. Let's try that. Let's do an old promo. All right, we're back here, and I do believe we got ENC Jordan. He is sideways. He's coming at us
Oh,
sideways.
I can hear you.
Outstanding. We got you too.
I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, I can hear you though.
No, I hear you loud and clear.
Nah, I can't hear you. Whatever.
Let's see here. I'm going to type here. I hear you.
Oh,
What about now?
that's odd that it doesn't work because it worked before. That's odd. Yeah, because I know you can hear me. I can tell by your facial expression, like you can hear everything I'm saying. I can't hear
Mm-hmm.
you. I don't know why. That's odd. But the only thing I was gonna say though, see, we professionals, we can actually do it with the technical difficulties. With
Absolutely.
as far as some of the Trump people and the DeSantis people, if Trump doesn't get the nomination, the DeSantis people need to basically support this side of the aisle and vice versa. Oh God, it's hard for me to say Trump though. Trump, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for me to say
I get
Trump
you.
just because you know it. You already know. Go ahead, man. I know you want to expound on that one.
Yep. Well, for me, the thing is that there are people, politics is culture these days. And there are people that are so behind their candidate that if their candidate doesn't win, they're going to take their toys and go home. And if we're looking to win the presidency, and the presidency being so incredibly important, just simply for the fact that you need somebody for the Supreme Court to nominate those nominees. Your governorships are extremely important because clearly, as we see here in Wisconsin, that momentum of Evers winning, that is what led us to Janet Protasevich. So it's so incredibly important that we end up backing the nominee. And if that's not your cup of tea, that's fine. But again, this is what I asked Tim Michaels. How can I advocate for you? And I think that was a lot of problems that, Rebecca Clayfish supporters had. That's a problem that a lot of Rantham supporters had, was there was nothing to get them to advocate for Tim Michaels. So I think whoever the nominee is, he has to win over the supporters of the primary opponents. It's not enough to say that we won, so therefore you must fall in line. The idea of fall in line, that might have worked in the 90s, but last I checked, we're not in the 90s. Ian, are you there? Speak for a message to come back here. Well, obviously, we got a lot of technical difficulties with this here, but yeah, expect that on a live stream. Unfortunately, it does happen. It is part of the process, excuse me. But I want to thank you guys here. Let's close it out here tonight. Again, I'm here much later than I thought I was going to be. So let me just throw something in the chat here. Give a closing comment. So Ian should be getting that here. And then I'll give my closing comment. Let's see here. Ian's frozen now. You're frozen. All right, he bounced out there. All right, so again, I want to thank you guys for joining here tonight. Make sure you go over to the website. That is the Ed Delgado Show.com. You can find the podcast and other things there. And then, of course, if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to contact at the Ed Delgado Show. And then you can always find me on most of my social media platforms at Real Ed Delgado. And that's easy enough to find. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. That's where you're going to find me. You can find all my dank memes and everything else. But again, thank you guys for joining tonight. Thank you for being in the conversation in the chat. Jen is horrible. Exactly. So, no, thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you guys for joining in, watching in the archives. Make sure you check the replay. And, as always, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. And look forward for more content, more interviews, more conversation. Did we get Ian back? All right. Did we got you?
Sure.
I hear you.
Oh, I hear you too.
Oh, shoot.
I went out of.
Alan, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Bro.
Alan McGuire, he put a interesting thing. He goes, our losses are in data and due to inferior ballot collection methodology.
Inferior
Dane County. High turnover. 80% blue. We must fix that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's definitely part of the equation. Another part of the equation, of course, is that we need to understand the migratory issues that happened during COVID with people moving all over the state from the inner cities into the more suburban and rural communities. Ian.
Too, bro. I can't hear you now. But
can you hear me now?
Dane County that's going to be difficult. I'm just telling you.
All right. Ian, leave a closing comment. Let's see if he picks that up.
That's not going to get fixed. I can't hear you now.
That's quite all right.
It's frustrating. I don't know.
You can hear me now? All right, we're going to close it out here. So go ahead and leave a closing comment.
Oh, man. I'm missing the show. I can't hear
Let's see
you.
if we can...
It's live.
All right, hold on. We close it out, so leave a closing. Lever.
Yeah.
Leave a closing comment.
Hello? Nope, I can't hear you.
See if Ian picks us up.
I guess I'm gonna have to call back in, bro. I wanted to do the visual, but I can't do it. I can't even hear you. I got
we're gonna work on that.
People, so all right, I'm
I know the issues on your end. All right, guys. Again, I want to thank you guys for joining in here tonight. We're running over 2 hours. A lot of technical difficulties. I think it's on the inside in here. We were coming across really good for the longest time. So, like I said, check out the website, theeddelgadoshow.com. We got a presidential primary coming up here really soon. Hang on. Let's see. Get this right. Hold on. This will be a record as I have tried to close out the show like 7 times now. 3, actually, but who's counting? Let's see if we can get Ian on the phone one more time. Republican Party of Milwaukee County, West Allis, West Milwaukee branch. What is good? I gotta stop on down to the West Allis branch. Y'all gotta highlight your boy here.
There you go. E.
All right.
What up, dog?
We're gonna close it out here.
Up?
We're gonna close it out here.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to have closing comment. I kept typing in the private chat, and I don't know if you were getting some of it, not getting some of it.
No, I couldn't even see it because I was just on the phone.
Okay, fair enough. So, closing comment. I want you to drop something before I close it out. I tried to close it like 3 times already, but such as live broadcast. Fair enough.
Well, no, exactly. Well, my closing comment is very simple. In regard to as far as the political process in Wisconsin, I'm sorry, man. And Ed, you made a good point. You said this is not the night. People are not just going to fall in line. But the thing is, though, we're going to have to do a better job at maybe not coming at each other, and we all are guilty of it. You know what I mean?
Swallow our pride.
We're helping. We got to swallow our pride because look at what we got with Evers. We got tax increases, sales tax, corporate tax, income tax. Everything got raised under this guy. And I mean, much as you might have hated Tim Michaels compared to Rebecca Clayfish and vice versa, if she would have got the nominee, it's not worse than this.
No.
So that's all I'm saying because it's not going to be a whole bunch. It literally is that aspect. Let's just kind of come together a little bit more. We don't got to agree on everything, but the Democrats are killing us because they actually grasp and understand that. And keep in mind that the Democrats think that you're stupid. So remember that when you decide to stay home because you don't like the candidate.
Right.
They think you're stupid. That's it for me, man.
I just can't help but laugh. Dude's talking about Republicans are stupid. And it's like, dude, you guys are evolutionary throwbacks. The hell are you talking about? Stupid.
He said fucking inbred. That was his exact comment.
Oh, I love that.
He really believed that shit. He believed that. He ain't even joking.
I would pay to have a conversation with this man. I would just, God, like,
he wouldn't talk to you though.
Of course he wouldn't.
He wouldn't talk to you.
No, because
he wouldn't.
Again, a boy can't talk to a man. A boy can only be spoken to. I said what I said.
He can't. He wouldn't talk to you, and it's funny because I'm sitting there and I'm talking to my one guy. I'm sitting there, I'm shaking my head, and he was just a little tipsy. He was saying what? I'm like, so you think that all these Republicans are dumb? I'm like, do you know what side of the aisle that most business owners in Wisconsin lean on? I said, you sound ridiculous, and we kind of agreed to disagree. Yeah, my buddy was embarrassed. He was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, don't be sorry. That's the truth. That's how you feel. And it's cool because he's an idiot anyway.
No, that's his paradigm.
No, he's very good at strategizing. He's a very good politician. It is what it is.
All right, Ian, where can people find you on social media, website, anything else like that?
Man. Bro, newsundone.com. We got some stuff coming out. God bless the dead. Paris, we just get some stuff taken care of on TikTok, Facebook, Clapper. Clapper is a new one. I'm putting some stuff on Clapper and all of your social media platforms and Spreaker, et cetera, et cetera. E, you are the man as always. I appreciate you letting me talk tonight, man.
We do. We can. I'm glad you called in, brother.
I'll call in next week too.
Sounds like a plan. All right, man. Good night. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Yep.
All right, guys. That was Ian C. Jordan. Christine makes a good point here. She says that Republicans need to early vote, mail-in ballot, early in person isn't enough to be responsible with resources. I was on Stephanie Suchek's show with Brian Schimming at the tail end of last week, and Brian Schimming had talked about Brian Schimming being the chairman of the Republican Party of Wisconsin. And he talked about that at great length as a resource saving measure. Because then again, why do you need to send literature to me? Like any politician sending anything to me, that's like dumb. You shouldn't have to do that. Like, I'm on your team. That's how I'm rolling. The resource need to be spent to the individual who's the moderate, who's the individual that it's the swing voter, as it were. And that does make sense. Every dollar counts. But as always, we can't walk and chew gum. You need to, of course, get that early vote, save resources, and also end up essentially evangelizing to the moderates, the swing voters, the independents, to win them over. Because without them, I don't care what anybody says, you will not win. Your core base, you don't have a chance in hell in winning an election if all you're relying is on the base. The base is just not big enough on the left or on the right. Win over those that can be won. Get to those people, and you will have your victories. Now, that being said, for the fourth time tonight, I wish you a good night. God bless you. God bless the great state of Wisconsin. God bless America. Look forward to a couple more episodes this week. I got a lot to break down here, and the episodes will be shorter, 10 to 15 minutes. We'll break them down and the stories. Talk to you soon. I'm out.